My Mug, episode 317 on Monday the 8th of December 2014. I, of course, am your host, Stephen Layton, and of course, we should go to the news. Okay, news. How cool was last week's In My Mug, right? Amazing. Alejandro was awesome, and I think that's one of the best we've done. I really do. And you may remember we talked about his experimental lots on there. Well, for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I'd like to show you a mock-up. This isn't the finished article, but this is how it will come in a presentation pack. You'll have 5 different versions of the coffee. In here, you'll have a book that tells you everything about it. It will be a has-been branded box as well, so something nice to keep. It's a huge thing. You want to be involved. You should definitely buy it. It's on the site now. Once it's sold. It's very, very limited numbers. So you should definitely dive in right away before your opportunity is lost. Golden tickets. These are our golden tickets. So every year for the past couple of years, we've done a special one-off subscription. 2 years ago, it was the crazy espresso blends. This year it's been all of our wholesale customers' espresso blends, and this year, well, it's a little bit different. I can't tell you, as it's a super secret. On the back of this ticket, it does tell you, and this is an invite into the subscription for next year. They will be going in most of the In My Mugs. We picked out around about 75%, just randomly put them in. It will go 50% of orders from here till Christmas. If it doesn't come in this week's on In My Mug, I would imagine it'll probably come next week. It is a limited offer, and you will see why when you read the back here. But once it's fully subscribed, we will stop putting tickets in orders. Check your pack this week. I really hope that one's in there for you. I really hope that you are a successful winner of our brand new subscription. And how cool are they? Golden tickets. I love it. So, Christmas is carrying on. And starting from last Friday, we've done the 12 working days of Christmas up until the last postage day. So really, to put a little bit of space in there, it's going to be for the next 12 working days, I'm going to be releasing a new coffee. That new coffee will be something pretty special, pretty unusual, something lots of people have been waiting for, and finishing on the 12th day with something super special. I think it is a great idea for Christmas gifts, or more than likely to treat yourself with, but hopefully you will enjoy that. We'll be doing it on Hasblog and on Twitter and all the usual channels. And that was the wonderful news. And now it's time for Focus On, and this week we're going to be looking at the Tarrazu region of Costa Rica. Get rid of those. So, Tarrazu is the name of the 5th canton, and canton is like a provincial area in the bigger province of San Jose in Costa Rica. The canton covers 297 square kilometres and has a population of around about 15,000. The capital city of the canton is San Marcos. The main source of income for local people is coffee. However, in recent years there's been a definite increase in tourism and of avocado production, and they're becoming equally as important as the coffee. San Marcos is the biggest town and has become really the centre for economic activity. More recently, Costa Rica Institution of Electricity has invested millions of dollars in the Pira hydro dam, and if you remember the map bit from Don Mayo from a few months back, we focused very much on this because Don Mayo probably looks after it. Don Mayo is not a million miles away from this week's coffee. San Marcos is also is located on the bank of that river, the Pira River, and is in a valley and surrounded by mountains. They're a part of the Talamaric Sierra group of mountains. Downtown San Marcos, which is like where all the shops are, and it's not a big downtown, is around about 1,300 metres above sea level, but the peaks around there go up to around about 3,000, so there's a real wide varied sets of elevation. And because of that, it's particularly suited to growing coffee. It has slopes on the mountains that face lots of the morning light and then get covered by cloud in the evenings or late afternoon when it starts to get a little bit hotter. The red soil is very volcanic, and that set of conditions along with the altitude mean that the coffees are a little bit special from here, and this week's is definitely a little bit special, and that was Focus On. So this week's coffee is a little bit of an early Christmas present for you all. La Pira, which is what it is, from San Marcos de Tarrazu, normally retails at £12.50 on the site. And it's expensive, and we ended up air freighting it in, but it's kind of, I think it's worth it, and it's a little bit special. We had to air freight it in. We nearly didn't see it as Carlos missed our second container leaving Costa Rica, and we only moved two. So he got in touch and said, I'm not going to miss it, and we're going to miss the container, and we arranged for plans to air freight it out, which is a confusing, difficult and expensive way of shipping coffee. But I think for this coffee it's particularly worth it, and I love that how we found it and that we've continued to work with it going forwards. So La Pira is located in the Dota Valley of Tarrazu, and as I've already said in Focus On, very well known for producing amazing coffees. The estate is relatively young, and it's only around about 50 years old, and he's owned by the founder's son, Carlos Arinia Cecilio, and he's worked the farm for 17 years after taking over from his father, but he has worked in coffee all of his life. The interesting part where we found it is I found this coffee in the Cup of Excellence back in 2009, and then we lost it for a year. We bought it in Cup of Excellence and we weren't able to get it again, but very pleased that we're reunited a year later. Lots of energy and lots of hard work gets into moving this coffee to us. It also really stretches my pockets. And Carlos is amazing, but he also can sometimes stretch your patience. Things like missing the container is very frustrating, but it is still super well worth it. After Carlos took over the farm, he spent many years trying to be organic, and this is a really interesting story for organic farming. Listen, organic farming is good. It is a really, really, very, very good thing. But for Carlos and the region he was in, it was impossible. He has certain things that he has to put into the soil. He has to do feed-ins, he has to use fertilizers, but he still holds very close to his heart the organic principles that he started with. And it's not like he's using loads and loads of chemicals, but sometimes he has to treat the plants when they get attacked or whatever. But he still uses interesting things, like for weeding, he has goats and sheep that wander around and just eat the grass around the plants, but not the coffee plants. He likes to call them his automatic fertilization units, as when they eat all of the weeds, they then poop out and automatically fertilize the ground around them as they do that. And this is just a perfect example of trying to get your head around the kind of guy Carlos is. When I visited him this year, he was telling me how quite often in the middle of the night he would just wake up with an idea and then couldn't sleep. He has a pad by the side of his bed where he writes all of these ideas down, and I suffer from this very similar thing where quite often I'll wake up in the middle of the night. So we were exchanging stories about how some of the crazy ideas that we've come up with. But he's an amazing guy, and I kind of see lots of my craziness in him. I think, and he saw some of my craziness in me, and that's why we work hard to keep working with each other. One of those ideas that he came up with was that so the Valley of Costa Rica, and I'm going to show you this in the map bit, it's very open. Either end, the wind just howls through. And he was noticing that droplets of rain and dew that were sitting on the zinc roof of his milling facility were sometimes frosting up. So he decided that he felt this cold water would be beneficial for keeping the cherries wet during the initial fermentation part. So he's created like a sprinkler system that hits this zinc ramp and runs across, hitting the cherries in the tank, and it makes the water cooler. And he's convinced that this has a big effect. Now, I don't know. I am not a coffee farmer, but what I am convinced of is all of these small extra little details that he goes to, you can taste in this cup. And I think this is Carlos's kind of creativity and attention to detail that we're tasting. Not necessarily just this icy cold water, which he says he's seen the cup improve from, but I think there are lots of other reasons as well. We've chased this coffee for a long time, so every year we are trying to get it, and it's becoming harder and harder. The yield is very low from the farm, and it's also been snapped up by lots of different producers. So lots of different coffee roasters. So Australia is very keen on this coffee. So it's a very competitive place to be buying coffee from. And Carlos, good for him, knows that it's very competitive, and he pushes us hard. It means we only have a tiny lot of it. This in my mug is pretty much going to wipe out most of it. I would imagine it will definitely be gone by the new year, I would imagine. So this is a great opportunity to try it, and I hope you love this coffee as much as I do. It is very much with Christmas in mind, and an early Christmas present to you all. And the farm is called La Pira. It's owned by Carlos Urena Cecilio. It's from the city of Santa Maria de Dota, in the region of Tarrazu. It's hectares, around about 7 hectares. It's about 1,700 metres above sea level. The variety of this lot is Caturra, although he does have some geisha on the farm as well. And it is a fully washed, sun-dried coffee. So enough whittling from me. We should definitely go and do this week's map bit. Hello, welcome to this week's wonderful map bit. We're going up and away, and we're going to go up into the sky. There's has been HQ disappearing into the distance, but we're not interested in that. We're interested in Central America. So let's get down to Central America. We can see Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, but we ain't interested in any of them. We want to know about Costa Rica. So we're zooming into Costa Rica. Now to the north, you can see that's the Central and Western Valley areas, but we're interested in the south. But before we go south, Costa Rica is the longest standing democracy in Central America. This ain't no big shakes. They're always fighting and taking over each other's countries, and coups and military coups and all the rest of it. But Costa Rica is one of the most stable and one of the safest countries. But we're zooming down to the region of Dota Tarrazu, and you can see Google Earth was actually quite kind this day. You can see that there was only a little bit of cloud covering, and you can see the coffee plants to the south of the farm. This is the town of Dota Tarrazu, and we should go down and see the valley so you can actually see. They are the trees. We are amongst the trees there. And just to the right of that road, we've got a coffee called Costa Rica Faramee, which we've bought and we buy for 3FE in Ireland, an exclusive for them. They're very close to each other, either sides of this valley. Now, the valley's super important because with the valley, you get this really icy cold wind in the evenings blowing straight through. It almost sucks it through this valley. It gets very cold, very misty, and really slows down the maturation of the cherries. So we see the highest points there, the Cerro Shapiro at 3,810 metres. This is around about 1,800, 1,900 metres-ish. So, yeah, you're a lot lower than the highest point, but a lot higher than the lowest point. So again, I just want to really get a feel for how this valley sucks in all of that cold air and just makes it really, slows down that cherry so it doesn't grow as quickly and gives you that amazing taste that we've come to love from La Pira, one of my faves. Hope you enjoyed that map bit. Buenas tardes, that's as much as I'm doing in Spanish again. We're here in Dota Tarrazu on La Pira. And you guys know La Pira. I've been loving this coffee, been talking about it all year, and I'm finally here and joined by the producer and owner. So,
Mr. Carlos Ureña.
Mr. Carlos Ureña, because I knew I was going to get it wrong in the pronunciation. So, Carlos, what varietals do you have here on the farm? What do you currently have?
¿Qué variedades producís en tu finca?
Catuaí, Caturra, y típicas.
And how long have you been producing coffee here?
¿Hace cuánto producís café aquí?
Aquí conozco café hace
17 years ago.
17 years ago.
But I was born in a coffee farm with my father 50, 60 years ago.
Okay, so you've spent a lot of time around coffee. what do you think about what you're doing now with the different processes? So we saw some naturals, some honeys, some washed.
Entonces tu vida ha sido una vida de café. ¿Qué sentís ahora que te has desarrollado tanto en diferentes procesos, lavados, honeys naturales?
Would that have been typical when your father was at it?
Sin ser algo muy típico en la época de tu papá.
Por la revolución del tiempo, la gente tenemos que ir cambiando.
Because of the evolution of time, we have to change.
Los tostadores nos van exigiendo y nos van dando ideas.
The roasters demand us and give us ideas.
Y para mí el café significa vida.
And for me, coffee is life.
Y me alegra bastante
And I'm very happy.
trabajar y saber que logro lo que yo más o menos he querido.
And I'm happy to know that I have been accomplishing whatever I've been committing with my goals.
And you have, by the way, been accomplishing your goals because the coffee is amazing.
Y definitivamente usted ha cumplido sus metas porque el café es impresionante.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've just seen the way that you process the coffee. Could you tell the people on the video just a little bit about why you do the things the way you do them here, and specifically with washing the coffee?
Usted hemos visto que maneja muy con excelencia sus procesos. Usted podría decir a nuestros clientes o sus clientes cómo es que maneja usted sus cafecitos, principalmente estos lavados.
Los cafés se manejan con mucho amor y mucho cariño.
We manage our coffees with a lot of love and a lot of care.
Yeah.
Y observando mucho detalle tras detalle.
And observing a lot, detail by detail.
Tratar de competir con el año anterior.
So we can compete.
Ir mejorando.
So we can compete in quality with the previous year for continuous improvement.
Yeah, no, I mean that's it. So what happens with the water? It comes on a zinc roof. Is that like to make it cold? And
At night,
and then it fills the tank. It's I'm going to show something on the video later. I was blown away with it. It's really, really interesting. Listen, thank you very, very much.
Muchas gracias.
The coffee.
El café.
For your time in your hospitality
Para su
today.
tiempo y hospitalidad de hoy.
And please keep doing what you're doing.
Y por favor, continúe haciendo lo que está haciendo.
Thank you. Al café le dedico las horas del día y parte de las horas de la noche donde me despierto a pensar un rato y analizar qué he hecho y qué hago todos los días.
Every day I dedicate lots of hours to coffee, in the day and at night. And I wake up at night to think, what can I do better next day to the coffee?
We share a lot.
Compartimos mucho en común.
Gracias. Thank you. So a nearly perfect map bit, I think, if there wasn't that little bit of low-lying cloud. But I hope you really get the feeling of that valley and what I was talking about the wind blowing through it. Let's hope Roland's daft fact is nearly as good as that map bit. During the months of December, January and February, the population of Tarrazu increases to 45,000, nearly 200% more. And Roland is spot on there because of the influx of pickers and people helping with the harvest. Population just massively increases. Right, I'm going to whap you on pause. I'm going to go and make tasty and delicious drinks, and I'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, so I'm back and I'm going to dive straight into the espresso. Leaning over. Ka-ching! Okay, so for me, you may like this. For me, this has a little bit too much brightness. I'm getting a mouthful of florality. I'm getting a really sharp green apple acidity. On the aftertaste, there's a little bit of caramel, which kind of brings it back in, but it's very bright. Very, very bright. Some of you love that. For me, as an espresso, I don't think that's kind of where I want it. Be interesting as a cap, though. I'm looking forward to this. So as a cap, it gets sweeter obviously because of the milk being added, and it calms down some of that brightness. It's definitely a nice cappuccino. You get much more of those caramel flavours come running through, much more than you do in the espresso, because you just add into that sweetness. It's actually a very good cappuccino. But here's going to be good. See, we're getting all festive with my Merry Christmas Sunderland mug. Yes, I'll make the joke, it's the only cup that Sunderland will get this season. What else can we do? Tin pot cup, all sorts of things. But yes, I'm getting festive. What can I say? Christmas is here. So the green apple just punches through here. Now, I'm lucky. I've lived and been around coffee blossom, so coffee trees that are blossoming before the cherry comes. It reminds me so much of coffee blossom. It's that sweet jasmine-like kind of florality, kind of, just think about, like, if you ever smell like jasmine flowers and you get that beautiful smell, that's pretty much what coffee blossom tastes like. This is it. And the aftertaste, that green apple is very much there. There's the littlest, it's not even that, it's that of caramel. So there's some sweetness there, and it is quite balanced as a brewed coffee. You definitely get more balance than you do in the other methods there. But I think it's delicious. It is like one of my all-time favourite coffees. I love all of the stuff that Carlos does, as much as he drives me crazy, and how difficult he is to buy from. I love him. He's just an amazing character. And what I'm going to finish off on here is a little bit of Carlos telling us about the farm and the things that he's done on there. And I think it's a nice way to finish. But before I do that, I do have to say that life is definitely too short for bad coffee, and coffee is good.